Okay, so the first thing we've got is the update from town administration.
Sure. So when we had our last meeting, I just mentioned to the board.
Excuse me for a second. Patrick, is this being televised or whatever?
Patrick from Walpole Media is running a few minutes.
Okay, great. Okay.
So
great.
I'm recording it just so we meet the open meeting law requirement.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Yep. So I mentioned at the last meeting that Finance Director Marilyn Thompson was going to be retiring at the end of October. The responsibilities of the Finance Director has traditionally always encompassed the responsibilities of the Treasurer Collector, starting from when that position was created in the 80s. And then in 2015, town meeting and then the voters authorized a change to the charter, which allows the Finance Director to be either the Treasurer Collector or the Town Accountant. So the direction we're going now that Marilyn's retiring is that we're going to be going with the Finance Director / Town Accountant model. And where that's the case, we just need job descriptions for both the Finance Director / Treasurer / Town Accountant. And because the responsibilities had always encompassed the Treasurer Collector responsibilities, we've now got to create that job description from scratch. So as part of the Personnel Board's actions that you guys have taken in preparation for town meeting, we've added that Treasurer Collector position to the schedule. Now we're just creating the job description that supports that. And fortunately, these positions, their roles and responsibilities are outlined in statute. So it kind of helps this process. Their individual responsibilities, whether it's a Finance Director, the Town Accountant. Some towns have just a Treasurer and just a Collector. Some towns have just a Tax Collector, which is different. So in Walpole, we're going to have a Finance Director / Town Accountant and a separate Treasurer Collector. So on Friday, I sent over some job descriptions with the responsibilities for those positions as we see them being implemented here in Walpole. I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at them, but that's generally here we are, and I'll entertain any questions or discussion on those job descriptions.
I have a question.
Yep.
Is this a contract position?
Not necessarily. Those positions, so we haven't hired for those positions yet. So whether they're contracted or not, that'll be part of the negotiation process when we do hire somebody for these positions.
Okay. In the second, under the supervision heading, second to last sentence, I'm not sure if you want to change this, but I'll mention it. It mentions, starts off with further, employees at this level are expected to exercise whatever means are necessary to resolve conflicts that cannot be addressed at the department level. I don't know. Any means necessary. I'm not sure if you want that in there or what you're trying to accomplish by getting that. I'm not sure.
I think I can recognize the hesitancy with whatever means necessary. Yeah, we can certainly amend that. I think that, I'll be honest with you, we weren't going to reinvent the wheel for these. These positions exist in every town. So I think that was probably one of the things that we had copied over from another town. So any means necessary may seem a little drastic.
Whatever necessary, that just sounds a little, I don't know. Up to you. I'm just mentioning it. You can use your editorial pen to do whatever you think is appropriate.
Okay. Any other questions about either of these? Why don't we start with Finance Director, Town Accountant, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the one I was
so
talking
I had a couple of things. I think my first comment, and I'll look to the board to help keep me honest here, but under distinguishing characteristics, there's this paragraph around performs complex, diversified, and highly responsible work and delivery of major municipal services requiring the development. Errors in admission or commission can be very costly in terms of dollars and inadequate services and lead to incorrect policy decisions. This is very similar to something that we struck or moved in earlier versions of job descriptions that we looked at last year, and I don't remember where we landed with it. I'd have to go through my notes.
I think that what you're recalling, Mike, was in the position for the health director or deputy health director. where we left in language. I think we left in language, and I can pull it out to double check. We had language relative to if, you know, in the event of an error or omission on behalf of the health director, it could lead to, you know, serious consequences.
Yeah.
I think it was like life and property or something. If you actually give me a second, I'm sure I can pull it right up. But
I guess my recommendation would just be, this is kind of saying the same thing. Do we treat it the same way?
let me see if I can just pull it right up, Mike. See what
Right.
we did.
Thanks.
Actually, you know what? Do I have my? Why don't we keep going, and I'll see if I can find that. I don't want to hold the meeting up, so.
Yeah. I had just a small, I don't even know if it's grammatical, but under supervision, in the second line, you have consults, second word in, second word can be a capital C. There's with assumes, and it needs to be capitalized.
Sorry, Mike, you're breaking up. I couldn't hear you. I don't know if it's you or if it's me, but I couldn't hear you too well.
He's breaking up.
I'm breaking up again.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to turn my video off. Sorry. Can you hear me? Can you hear my voice at least?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I was just saying a very slight kind of grammatical change. And under supervision, in the second sentence, second word from the right, the word consults doesn't necessarily need to be capitalized there because it doesn't follow suit with the other kind of verbs in that sentence. While you're looking at the other thing, I mean, that was my only other question. And then I had highlighted kind of that same thing that Larry had too, as far as exercise whatever means are necessary to resolve conflicts. It sounds kind of like strong language. Probably better left is just say expected to resolve conflicts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just found from the health director job descriptions, actually, let me share my screen. I can show you. I love that I can just do this. So here's the job description. Here are the revisions that were made to the health director job description. Here, number 5, we did have errors could result in failure to maintain desired standards of public health services or possible danger or hazard to public health. So this was the final job description. And
Okay, so it's in the right place.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
No, but thanks. I completely forgot that we had that conversation. So I'm glad you brought that back up so we can make it consistent.
That's all I had on that one. So
Okay.
whoever's next.
Any other changes to finance director, town accountant?
Okay. We'll move on to. Go ahead.
Well, it seemed to me that, under the bullet that Mike was just talking about with exercises general supervision of the administrative activities of the 3 divisions, it seems like a lot. I mean, it seems like this person's taking on has a lot of responsibility, and I'm assuming that are there like deputies in the accounting, treasurer, and collection department that?
So the deputies here, like if I imagine the Department of Public Works, for instance, you've got the DPW director and then the superintendents underneath them, and they all have they all generally guide their own areas under the general supervision of the DPW director. In this case, it's not as big. You've got the finance director, again, which has traditionally been the treasurer collector that would oversee, the town accountant, which has been the practice up until this point. So in this case, how it's been under like Maryland oversees, the treasurer's function and the collector's functions, and she's got an assistant treasurer collector, which has her own responsibilities. And then Marilyn also oversees the payroll function, which reports to her. And then additionally, Jody is the town accountant who's at the department head level, but reports to Marilyn as the finance director. So those responsibilities, although Jody, in her capacity as the town accountant and with those responsibilities having their own, statutory authorizations, executes her job under the coordination of Marilyn. So Marilyn, as the finance director, guides the borrowing process, and with tax bills coming in, it all really kind of starts with Marilyn, and then they all have their individual roles and responsibilities, but it's under Marilyn's supervision. So under this model, the town accountant would occupy that role, then oversee the treasurer collector's office, and then the treasurer collector would still oversee payroll, but under the general umbrella of the finance director. Does that answer your question, John? It's not as big as, let's say the Department of Public Works or, the police department. You've got lieutenants all responsible for their own divisions. It's just a, smaller scale.
No, that works. Thank you. And I just had one other kind of along the same lines, but down under desired minimum qualifications, I know you said we haven't hired this person yet, but it does say a master's degree in public administration, accounting, or finance is preferred. Do you think, are the applicants, do they have that master's degree? Which
Yeah, and
very helpful.
I think, let me take a look. Treasurer collector, what do we have for treasurer collector? I think with that level, as the chief financial officer, that's I think the caliber that we'd be looking for.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have for that.
Patrick, Larry, do you have an org chart that lays this out, as that you could share the screen with? Just out of curiosity. If not, you might want to have one for town meeting if you're pursuing town meeting. That way you can kind of spell it all out.
Yeah, I don't have one handy. I know we have had some, which would, we'd have to go back and update, but yeah, no, that's a good idea, Larry. I don't have one handy. I could show you, but yeah, we could generate an org chart pretty easily. We just have to update some previous ones that the personnel board has requested in the past. So
if you don't mind, you can at some point share it even after this, just so we kind of get a general sense on what the lay of the land looks like after this.
Yeah, you got it. In fact, I'm just looking and see what I've got. Yeah, I guess for the purpose of this conversation, I've got one that I can, again, I love that I can just pull it up on my screen. Share screen. Still getting used to it though. So here's one from 2015. I'm sure there's another one that's more recent, but you'll see here the finance department, which is comprised of, again, currently the finance director is Marilyn. At the time, David was the assistant treasurer collector, and occupies the payroll function. This is customer service, and then collector, customer service representative. And then Jody, there's an assistant town accountant and a principal clerk. So again, it's not too extensive, but what we could do is we could kind of clean this up so it's a little easier to follow. I know it's within the context of the larger organizational chart for the town, but essentially this is what you get for the finance department.
I think it would be helpful to have a before and after view for a town meeting, I'm guessing.
Okay, you got it, Larry. Good suggestion. Thank you. Any other questions? I mean, we can make an adjustment to that, whatever means are necessary. We should have probably caught that one, but and then if not,
should we go ahead and vote on it? Based on the changes that we've recommended.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can just come up with language pretty easily here. Further, employees at this level are expected to exercise, discretion with conflicts that cannot be.
I think I think it's plain and simple. Employees at this level are expected to resolve conflicts that cannot be addressed at the departmental level. Just strike that whole second. That
Oh, I see. Yep. Okay.
does that work? Does that make sense for everybody?
Works. I'll make a motion to accept the revised job description for the finance director / town accountant as amended.
I'll
For a
second that.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mike, can we do a roll call vote for this? We just got to do the roll call votes for the Zoom.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so Larry, let's just start with you.
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Jane,
Yes.
is Julie on?
I'm on. Aye.
Aye. Okay, and I'm an aye as well.
Okay.
So voted.
We'll make that revision. We'll put that into place. And then Mike, what we can do is a sign-off sheet as the chairperson. We can send that over to you. If you want to send it back to us with an electronic signature, or we can send that over to you once we get the final copy.
Yep.
All right. So then
That's great.
the next item is the treasurer collector job description. Again, this is a responsive job description we had to essentially create because this position hadn't existed on our schedule. So again, these responsibilities are pretty much outlined in state statute, which was pretty cool. I was researching this position. I guess we had a treasurer collector position back in the 80s. It was an elected position. And then the town essentially had a charter change in the 80s to create the finance director treasurer collector position. So that was something new. I didn't know that prior to this. So we had a treasurer collector, took it off and then replaced it. Now here we are putting it back on again. But in any case, any questions or discussion on this job description?
I have a couple. The first one is the last sentence under the first paragraph of supervision. Just need a little explanation. So it says work is generally reviewed only for technical adequacy, appropriateness of actions or decisions, and conformance with policy or other requirements. The methods used at arriving at the end result are not usually reviewed in detail. So does that mean, I guess I don't know what that means. As far as the review of their work in total is only basically if you come up with the right end results, the means of getting there doesn't matter, or?
No, I think so. Let me take a look at this. Work is generally reviewed only for technical adequacy, appropriateness of actions or decisions, in conformance with policy or other requirements. Methods used in arriving at the end result are not usually reviewed in detail. So I think what the intention of this, again, we had taken this from a couple other different towns. And we could certainly revise this. I mean, this is I'm not married to this language now that I read it out loud. I think what the intention of the language is, and we can clean it up a little bit, was that despite the fact that this position would report to the finance director, these positions individually have their own responsibilities, like their own authorizations. So like while the finance director would oversee the treasurer collector, there's a little bit of
I find the whole sentence.
Yeah, no, what I'm trying to say is that there is a boundary between.
I find that the whole sentence is a little bit like.
Mike, did we lose you? I think it sounds like we lost Mike.
I just kind of find it kind of oh no, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me try again. Is it any better?
Keep talking, Mike.
Any better, guys? Sorry.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit better.
No, it's good.
I'm still talking. Okay. So I guess I just found it kind of unnecessary. I mean, all employees should be working with technical adequacy, I can't say that word, I guess, and appropriateness of actions and decisions and conformance with policy and all of that stuff. So I just don't know what that sentence is for and why is it special to this particular role. So if there is something that we need to call out that's special to this role, we should change the sentence. Otherwise, strike it.
No, I agree with striking it, to be honest with you, because I think what it was trying to accomplish is outlined in state law anyway. So I think it's trying to accomplish the fact that despite it reporting to the finance director, that position itself has responsibilities that, you know, nobody, like the finance director, really can't interfere with. So because you've got these separate controls with, like, the town accountant, for instance, now being the finance director, they're checks on each other, so there really can't be an interference in each other's lane. So I think that's what it was trying to accomplish. I totally agree with you though, Mike, about the way that it's written. So I think what you're getting at, or what I'm getting at, is outlined in state law already, where, you know, adding it to the job description may or may not be necessary. But I agree with you about striking the language. So we can draw attention to that and rewrite that if you want, or we can strike it all together, whatever the board's pleasure.
I thought it was confusing also.
Did we lose
Any
Larry?
objection to striking at all? Julie or Larry?
To strike.
What'd you say, Larry?
Okay to strike it,
Okay.
or at least the
Okay.
part that says whatever means necessary. It sounds like it's illegal or legal means
Yeah,
are okay.
I
I
wouldn't
get
keep it as broad as that.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay.
I have a question, two actually.
Go
Number
ahead, Larry.
5. Oh, I'm sorry, you got Mike. Go ahead. You keep going if you got more. You go, Mike.
I was just concerned in the second paragraph. The only other thing that I wanted to kind of, well, there's two more quick things. Employee, as a regular and continuing part of the job, is accountable for the quality and quantity of the work done by subordinates and ensures that the accomplishment, yada, yada, yada. So is that typical language to make the, you know,
Oh.
I mean, as a boss, I'm always responsible for the end product, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen a job description.
I think that language is customary in our job descriptions. I remember when I was the director, in my job description, that language was in my job description.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's customary in our
Okay.
job descriptions.
So no harm. I think that's part of the boss's job anyway. Okay.
Yep.
And the last thing that I wanted to ask you is that same language where we talk about errors of omission and how they could have a negative impact. Is that statement necessary in this type of role as well?
Yeah.
Would this person be able to falsify something and make a mistake on a report?
Yes. Yeah.
So could we add the same language to distinguishing characteristics?
Yeah, we can add that same language in there. Let me see if I pull up the old one. Yeah, I'm just pulling up the language, Mike. Yeah, errors of omission or commission could be very costly in terms of dollars or inadequate services, as errors could lead to incorrect policy decisions. So we can copy that, and that would still be accurate.
Great.
That
That's
work?
all I had.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Larry.
Great, thank you. Under distinguishing characteristics number 5, responsible for supervising all functions of the town and school payroll. So this position also handles the school payroll. Does the school department business manager do that, or how does that, what's the interaction?
They have their own payroll process. The checks are still cut out from that office. So it's not completely from just our payroll clerk, but those payroll checks still come out from the treasurer collector's office.
And one other item, under special qualifications, must be a certified treasurer / collector within 2 years of hire. Is that something, if they're not, do we pay for that? Is that part of the deal?
Yeah, if they're not, they would, I mean, I think it would be probably subject to individual negotiation, but, you know, in certain circumstances, depending on the circumstance, the town could cover the professional development for the employees. So like when I was, again, kind of going back to the rec department again, to become a certified park and rec director, I was pursuing that at the time, and the town, through our rec department budget, would cover the cost of that. But, you know, it would be our hope that we would get, you know, a certified treasurer collector for this role. But
And what's the typical cost of something like that? And what's it take, a year or two? I'm just trying to.
yeah,
Yes.
I don't know what the exact cost is. I do know, I think it was like X number of years of service working in, you know, a treasurer collector's office in a supervisory capacity. Yeah, I don't know the exact length of time and what classes you need to take. Let me see if I can pull it up.
That's all I have.
So here we go. It's governed by, it's the Massachusetts Collectors and Treasurers Association. And then the certification program. Come on. Of course, it's not letting me into it. It's the same, my deadline's passed for applying, but, oh, here we go. Yeah, it's like X number of years of services in supervisory capacity, and then there's certain courses that you need to take. But again, I can't get into this on their website right this second. Let me see. Yeah, it's not coming up. Okay.
Got a couple of real-
It doesn't change the nature of the job description, right?
No, it doesn't. It's more just, you know, there's a particular, you know, code of ethics that you need to follow. It's, you know, certain, you know, professional development that you've taken to ensure that you meet the requirements of a treasurer collector. But no, it doesn't change the nature of the job description.
Okay. John, did you have comments?
Yes, a couple of real minor ones. Let's see. On the second paragraph under definition, looks like there's a typo there. It should, the treasurer collector has, and the next word I believe should be and instead of an.
Yep.
Has and exercises all powers. And then while we're there, so in the definition section, it refers to state statutes and town bylaws. And then there's, in that sentence that I was just talking about, it refers to local bylaws. And then down in the first sentence of supervision, it also says local bylaws. So I don't know if it matters to anybody for, you know, consistency to call them town bylaws or local bylaws, whatever. And then the last one is back on that under distinguishing characteristics, sentence 5 with the school payroll. At least on my version, there's no period at the end of that sentence. So
Got it. Okay. Thanks, John.
that's it for me.
So, Patrick, you recommend changing them to town bylaws or local bylaws throughout?
I like town bylaws. It's ours.
Yeah, me too.
You know? Okay.
I'd say town.
Yeah. Okay, good. Julie, Jane?
Yes, town.
Yep, town.
Any other questions or comments on the document?
Not on the document, but is this position, I know Larry had just asked a moment ago, but is this position also a contract position or potential? Or, because I can't remember how the board voted a couple of years ago on the contracts. I have it in my notes, but I don't have it off the top of my head. So I was
it's
just
on
curious.
it's on the personnel salary schedule. So,
Okay.
ultimately it would depend on the negotiation once that person's hired, but, it's going to be on the salary schedule. So it'll be included with like steps and stuff. So.
Patrick, what's the marketplace for these folks? I mean, is there a lot of potential candidates out there, or is there a very limited pool, or what's it like for something like these two positions?
I'm not sure. I do check the Mass Municipal Association website daily just to kind of see what's going on out there, see who's applying for what. There are several positions, not necessarily, in our immediate area. But, anytime you've got a department head level position like this, it's not uncommon for, people to maybe check out the packages and maybe move around, or, assistants moving up. So, I'm not quite sure, Larry. I do know that, if you go onto the, and I recommend this for all of you just to kind of see what's always going on out there as far as the market and the, open positions. But if you just go onto the Mass Municipal Association website, that's a place where many, human resource departments post, particularly, department head level positions are higher. Just kind of see what's out in the market.
What's the timing? Is Marilyn, when's her timing?
So she leaves at the end of October. She agreed to stay on through fall town meeting. So fall town meeting is going to be, the moderator declared October 17th for town meeting to occur. So she's essentially giving us one last town meeting, and we're hoping to fill these positions quick so there's some overlap and some training. So yeah, it's going to be pretty quick. I mean, that's a month from now. I think actually our last day is October 29th, so a month from today. Any other questions?
Not for me. So we have a motion to approve the treasurer job description as amended?
Second the motion.
Okay, go ahead. We'll do the roll call. So Jane,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
and it's a yes for me as well. It's a vote. All right, the next thing on the agenda is the approval of the personnel action requests. I've gone ahead and reviewed this. This is the spreadsheet that you sent out earlier, Patrick.
Yep.
Is there any questions from the team or any comments, Patrick?
Nobody sent any to me. I don't know if anybody's got any questions now.
I have a question. Sorry. Increase in hours on the town clerk position. Can you expand on that? Just what that might involve, or what?
Yeah, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. I think she's a 35-hour-a-week position, moving to a 40-hour-a-week position, with everything going on with the elections and town meeting and the pressures put on her office. The decision was made to move her up to 40 hours a week because, frankly, she couldn't quite do it in the 35 hours with everything going on. So this year they've got the early voting, they've got the mail-in voting, the census. It's been a lot of pressure on that office to try to coordinate all the additional responsibilities falling to her as the town clerk and to her office. So a decision was made between her and Jim to increase her hours from 35 to 40. Chris, am I forgetting anything?
No, that's right. Everything you said is accurate.
Based on that, her
Any other
pay scale goes from 35 hours to 40 hours. Is that what this is reflecting?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. One other question on water and sewer, or sewer and water, I guess. Is there a difference? Because I see in underwater department, there's a promotion of somebody. And then under sewer and water, there are 2 new hires. Are we adding people or is it replacements?
yeah.
Or
I'm sorry, where are you talking about, Larry?
under the water department, someone was promoted.
Oh, I see, Mary Timothy, I think.
Yep. And then under sewer and water, there's 2 new hires. Is it just semantics? Is it really just a sewer and water, or is there a separate water group and a separate sewer and water group?
I think, Chris, is that just how you plugged it into the Excel spreadsheet when you were keeping track?
Yeah, that's how it was in Munis, so I just kind of followed it the same way.
Got it. And so I guess are these 2 new positions, or is it?
No, we're backfilling. So one person retired and about a couple of weeks ago, and then somebody ended up resigning back at the beginning of the pandemic, a position that we didn't fill. So with those 2 positions being vacant, we're just backfilling. One's the promotion, and then so that creates 2 vacant customer service rep positions that now we're backfilling. So not new positions, just positions that had been existing that we've been waiting to fill.
Hey, what did Mr.
Thank you.
Vasconcelos do?
He was a laborer for the water department. Hesitant to get too much into
Yeah, no, that's
uh,
kind of just.
the meetings recorded, but he had a probationary period that came up, and we decided it wasn't a good fit.
And it's not a new position, but as I was looking through, I just had a question. Ashley Clark, the Community Development Officer.
Yep.
Who does that position work for these days? I remember it used to cause problems because that person worked for the planning board. And so they were taking directions from the planning board instead of maybe a more broad town-wide perspective of things. Does that person work for you guys now, or?
The position now reports to the town administrator.
Okay.
Actually, the personnel board was pretty involved in this. I think right before you got appointed to the personnel board, John. So the position itself has kind of taken different iterations over the course of several years. We've had a planner, we've had a community and economic development director, a community planning director, a community development director. And ultimately, when this position was reporting to the planning board, it just didn't work out. So Jim at the time had a conversation with the chairperson of the planning board, the zoning board of appeals, and the economic development commission, and essentially came together and said, we're going to be going in a different direction with this position. This position is going to report to Jim. It's going to focus on zoning and economic development and community items. So all 3 were in agreement, and the planning board now uses consultants for their review services. And Mike, I think you were on the EDC at the time when this conversation was coming up too. But Ashley, if you haven't met Ashley or seen the work she's been doing a great job, really guiding. She started around the time that all the 40Bs, there were 4 40Bs that kind of came in the door all at the same time. So she's been really the point person for those, as well as guiding some of the economic development activities around town. You may see there's been some grant programs the town has made available to small businesses. She's really taken the lead on those and done a great job with that stuff, and working with businesses during COVID to try to keep them going to the extent possible.
And I just want to say I can attest to how hard she works. I've met with her a few times regarding the 40B development, and she's very well versed and knows her stuff. And I've seen her in action in some of these meetings with the developer of late, and she's solid. She does a great job.
Yeah, she holds her own.
And she definitely does.
Great. Any other discussion or questions? So I think we have to do a vote on this too, right?
Yep, please. And then actually in the motion, if you could
I get a
authorize.
motion to approve.
Oh, in the motion, if you could authorize me to sign it, just because we're not meeting in person. Yeah. Okay.
I'll make a motion to authorize the schedule and Patrick to sign.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, so it's a yes from me. Jane,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
and Larry.
Yes.
Great. All right, two more quick things, and I think we unless there's more discussion, I think we get them through. So I need a motion to approve the minutes from September 1.
Actually,
Or
before
has
we do
everybody had a
this,
chance to read the minutes, and are there any questions?
I know that Larry sent over some revisions. Was it the September 8th minutes, Larry?
Correct.
Uh,
September 8th, some minor comment on what I was added to what I had said.
So why don't we, Mike, if it's okay with you, we'll take the September 1st one, and I can share my screen and show where Larry had the revision, if everyone's okay with it.
Okay. Any questions or comments on the minutes of September 1?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from September 1.
I'll
Second.
second.
All right, and then for the.
Do we have to do a roll call vote for that as well? So, okay. Start for Julie,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
it's a yes from me as well. Okay, so why don't we move on to discussion on September 8th?
All right, so I just shared my screen. So what's it on page 2 of the minutes? I think these are just the revisions that Larry's recommending, and they're red here. So it would say, so several of them asking why are we funding something we don't know when the FY 2021 state budget will be finalized, and if we have the state funding. So
It isn't, that's correct. It isn't pretty, but probably not grammatically perfect, but that's what I wanted to put in. That's it, all I have.
all right, any other questions about the minutes?
I can't get back to my screen because I just had one change. I think it was on page, let me see if I can pull it up. Oh, here it is. Okay, hold on one second. Give me 1 second because I was on the September 8th, page 3, 4th paragraph down, I'd say. It says, Miss Laurie, when we voted last fall to split park and highway, there wasn't a request to staff with assistant superintendents on the pay schedule. Those positions were there. Should we remove them? What I'd asked, what I stated regarding that was when the request came in to split the departments and have 2 superintendents instead of a superintendent and an assistant superintendent, I'd asked, it was represented that they weren't going to come back. The 2 new superintendents were actually there at the meeting, and they had represented that they weren't going to come back looking to have assistant superintendents, adding another layer to the departments and cost. So I don't know how you want to reword that, but I just want to make sure that that was clear. It wasn't so much that they were coming in requesting to staff. It was a matter of them coming in saying, we want to split this up, have 2 separate superintendents. And then that's when we started to discuss, if we're going to stop splitting it and having 2 separate superintendents, is there going to now be a request to have assistant superintendents in both of the departments? And it was stated, no, not likely. So I don't know.
So how do you want to phrase that for the minutes?
Let's see. When we go to last fall. It should say it was represented by the superintendents that they wouldn't be looking to have assistant superintendents in the future. Because I remember it was a lengthy conversation about that.
Yeah.
All right. So it would say, Ms. Larry, when we voted last fall to split the parks and highway superintendents, it was represented that they wouldn't have assistant superintendent positions.
Or that they weren't going to come back looking to add those positions.
They wouldn't request for them. Yeah.
Okay.
And on the pay, I guess the bigger question on the pay schedule, those assistants were there. So we need to remove them if they're not going to ask for more. That was the point.
That was the point. And it was based on the discussions that we had at the meeting. So I just wanted to be
Yeah.
clear on that. And then Jim did clarify
Yeah.
why they kept it on, and that's all fine,
Okay.
of course, but I just wanted to make sure it was
Yeah.
represented correctly. That's all.
All right, so just for the purpose of, revising this so you guys can approve these, it'll say, Ms. Lowry, when we voted last fall to split the Parks and Highway Superintendent, it was represented that they wouldn't be requesting assistant superintendent positions.
In each of their departments.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna read it again just so it's clear for everyone what we're voting on. We keep changing it in each of their departments. So Ms. Lowry, when we voted last fall to split the Parks and Highway Superintendent, it was represented that they wouldn't be requesting assistant superintendent positions in each of their departments. And then on the pay schedule, those positions were there, should we remove them?
Yep.
Okay.
That's more consistent. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions or any other comments on the minutes?
No, sir.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So
Make a
moved.
motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
All right. Larry,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
Julie.
Yes.
Okay. And that's a yes from me as well. So that's approved. Is there any other business?
No, the only thing I
Tonight?
want to bring everybody up to is, so Julie's going to be doing a video on behalf of the Personnel Board for town meeting. So the moderators requested the petitioners of each article to do a quick 2 to 4 minute long video to town meeting members that'll be posted on the town meeting website. So if folks want a presentation, the hope is that if people have questions, they can watch those videos in addition to the finance committee public hearing or the discussions that may take place at town meeting. So Julie mentioned that she would be doing that. So thanks Julie for that. And then the only other thing is that finance committee public hearing, it's a little bit different this year because we're doing it on, the town meeting is going to be on a Saturday. So that public hearing is going to be on Tuesday, October 13th at 6:00 p.m. via Zoom. And then town meeting is going to be Saturday, October 17th at 10 o'clock in the morning at the high school football field again. So that's just what I just want to bring you guys up to speed on. Mike, as a chairperson, I don't know if you're available that Saturday in case there's any questions about the personnel board's article or.
I am.
Okay. You're a member, I think, too, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, yep, that's just it as far as kind of town-wide things going on. So we'll be, that's really kind of our focus these next few weeks.
We have our next meeting. I think we agreed on an October 13th meeting. We've already had 3 in September. Do we want to keep that on the books? And if there's a reason to meet, we'll meet on the 13th. Otherwise, we'll push it to the following month.
Yeah, I think let's keep it just in case there's anything coming up pre-town meeting where we need to react to anything. So let's keep it and then cancel it if it's not necessary. I can't,
Yeah.
If I don't know if there's anything coming up that we'll need to put in place before then. And if
Yeah.
anything does come up, I'll send an email to the board just letting everybody know. But I don't think that there's anything really coming up that we'll need action on by then. They can't wait till November, and then once we get past fall town meeting, we'll be looking at FY22 budgets anyway. So yeah, let's keep it just to be on the safe side, and then if there's a need, if we can cancel it, we'll cancel it.
Great.
And then I do actually one other update.
Right.
Jane,
Can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh,
before you adjourn, Jane, I know I also attempted to get in touch with Norwood to talk about their vacation program.
Oh.
I've been able to get in touch with the human resource director over there to find out. I've had a kind of informal discussion with a Norwood employee, and they seem to think it was only for one of their unions, but I want to talk to her directly. I think it's Molly, the person that you spoke
Right.
to. So I'll see what I can find out and to bring back to the personnel board about the package programs that they're putting together over in Norwood, and see if what it's all about and if it's something we want to entertain here in Walpole. But I did just want to let you know that I didn't blow you off. I've been trying to get in touch with Molly, and to no success. So
Yeah, I didn't have any success with follow-up. And the first time I got her, and she was like for 10 or 15 minutes talking to me. So I don't know what happened.
sure. But okay, that's it for me.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Stay safe, everybody.
Same to you.
Healthy.